start. Okay, so I thought we were going to be doing the Satan today. I forgot we have to do some preparation for the Satan. Okay, and I don't know, every year when I do this thing, there are some classes that that like instantly get it, and there are some classes that have a very hard time with it. Okay, so just be honest in terms of like how clear it is. We may need to, like, I might need to bring in other sources, but we're going to start simple. Okay, so background for the Satan. Okay, we did this yesterday, right? The Rob does not mean bad. It could mean any sort of like loss or harm. We're not going to define it yet, but we will define it later. Okay, form and matter. This is what we're going to be talking about today. So are you familiar with the terms form and matter? Yeah? Anyone want to try giving an explanation for what we mean by form and what we mean by matter? Oh, actually, let me give you a starter. So this is not the source of it, but the Rambam says in Hillchos Yesodi Torah 4:7, you will never see anything which is matter without form or form without matter, but it is man's rationality or his mind which enables him to divide the entity in his mind and to know that it is comprised of form and matter. So what are form and matter?
I would say matter is like a substance,
okay,
like the actuality of something.
Yeah.
And form is the function, or wait, I had another word. Function, or like not used, but like the like words.
Yeah, no, it is gonna be a deep word.
Kind of,
the what?
Not definition of it, but like how we like make it out, like what we think it is.
Okay, you're actually correct, and I think definition is not a bad word for it. Anyone else have any?
Simpler words.
Yeah, no, simpler words are also good because yeah.
Form is like the shape in which something takes, and matter is the process or the substance that it has to make that form.
Okay, so I like your definition of matter a lot. Form is good for certain things. When you're talking about like physical objects, then it's the shape. But I think it's closer to what Ayala is saying in terms of the definition. So here are some definitions. Again, we're going to spend the whole day just defining what form and matter are from different angles. Okay, because this is absolutely essential for understanding what the Satan is and understanding what evil is. Okay, so the Hebrew term for form is tsura. You need me to move this, or is it? You good?
Fine.
Okay. Form, structure, design, that which the thing is. Homer, matter, or material is that which the thing is made of. Okay, so form is what it is, matter is what it is made of. Okay, so far so good? Okay, now in order to give a more like contextual explanation, have we had a discussion about Aristotle's 4 causes?
I think in the Tefillah group, yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I feel like it comes up in some classes, so we'll review it. Okay, Aristotle's 4 causes. Let me move this here. So the way Aristotle said it is he says, whenever you talk about anything in the universe and you want to understand it, or I guess anything in the physical universe and you want to understand it, then there are 4 things you need to understand, and then you'll understand the thing in its entirety. Okay, so it's very simple. He called it the material cause, which is what the thing is made out of, the formal cause, what it's made into, the efficient cause, what makes it into that thing, and then the final cause, which is what it's made for. Okay, so here are some examples, and as usual, I like to illustrate with the shoe. Okay, so yeah, no. Okay, so what is the material cause of this shoe? Leather. Okay, right. What is the formal cause of the shoe? Yeah, the shoeness of it, right? Is the now in this case, so this is what I meant by what Ayala said is correct, is that it's the definition of the thing, that which makes it a shoe. But Leah is also correct in that it's the shape. But what is a little bit like inaccurate by saying it's the shape that makes it a shoe?
Shoes can be different shapes.
Because shoes could be different shapes. That's number one. Let's say, for example, like this is like a European Western style menswear shoe. But if you had like a Japanese like sandal, it's a completely different shape. Like a Japanese sandal is like a board with like a peg in it with like straps, you know? So it's a completely different shape, but it still is a shoe. So the shoeness is not necessarily the shape, right? Did you say something else, Amelia? Okay. So that's going to be with the final cause. Okay. And obviously with man-made objects, the formal cause is dictated by the final cause in many cases, meaning like you're not going to make say again? And the material cause, exactly right. So let's go efficient cause. So what made my shoe into what made the leather into a shoe? Say again. So either a shoemaker or a Machine, right? Okay, so I have no idea like how they make leather shoes these days, like it's handcrafted or whatever. So it's the shoemaker or the shoemaking machine. And then what's the final cause?
Walking.
Okay, now combine them together.
The use of protective feet.
Yeah, okay, right, is to provide comfort and protection for feet, I guess. Yeah, well, walking is probably accurate also. That is also true, right? I guess I was talking about my shoe. Yeah. Okay, good. So can you see how if you really understood the answers to all these questions in full, you would know everything that there is to know about shoes? There's no question, there's no information about, if you give me any information about shoes, it will fit into one of these 4 categories. Yeah. Right, if you picture.
What if I say I love my shoe?
If you say what?
What if I say I love my shoe?
That's about you, not about the shoe.
How much is the shoe?
How much is the shoe is going to be in the material cause. And well, it's going to be related to the material cause and the efficient cause, because what makes shoes have different prices? The material or the craftsmanship, you know? Or the function, right? If you have, for example, this is kind of a weird question here, but what is the most, that's a weird question. What's the most expensive Jew you could, Jew? You see what I'm saying? The most expensive shoe a Jew could buy today. The hardest to get shoe that has Jewish significance. Yeah.
The thing shoe for like, not chalitza.
Yeah, chalitza. Yeah, right? Okay, so you know about chalitza? Right, so
I always wonder what shoe they use.
Yeah, so apparently there is, well, first of all, chalitza is very rare nowadays, because what situation would you have to have for a chalitza to come about?
The husband has to die.
The husband dies,
And then there has to have a sister.
not a sister, a brother, right?
And no kids.
And no kids, right? So yeah, right, that's the case, is the brother dies without kids, and then the other brother would, right, nowadays is not married. In the old days, I guess he could have multiple wives, but and so Yibum would be he has to marry his brother's widow, and then chalitza is the process that you use to get out of it. And what does chalitza involve?
Taking off a shoe.
Yeah, taking off the shoe from him and then spitting in it. But as you can imagine, this is halacha, right? So the shoe has to be made according to all the halachic, like, specifications. So what I've heard, I've never actually seen this. I've heard that there are like a couple like chalitza shoes in the world that like whenever they need, let's say like you're in London and like the London base needs to do chalitza, they'll like send for the shoe, and like, what was that? Well, you would have to, unless you would be, you can have a basing for, you don't have a Sanhedrin, but you can have a basing for the purposes of other things like conversion or divorce or marriage, or like monetary cases. Anyway, so that was an obscure example. Why did I bring that in? Oh, because because they're the way that it's made, or they're really the formal cause, right, is what is responsible for like how expensive that shoe must be, because they have to make it according to the halachic specifications to meet an exact definition. And the final cause, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, because you can only achieve chalitza with that specific shoe, or a shoe that's exactly like it. Okay, let's do another example. Other things I use examples for. Oops, sorry. Oh yeah, I just accidentally replicated that. Poland Springs bottle. What's the material cause? Plastic and paper. Yeah, right. Yeah, plastic and paper, I guess. Unless this is also made out of plastic. It feels plasticky. Yeah, the bottle. Yeah, the bottle itself. Yeah, okay. What is the formal cause? Yeah, a bottle, right? Its shape or its bottleness. Okay, and bottle. That's another interesting thing, right? Because bottle, there's a certain basic shape of every bottle, which is like a receptacle type shape, but you could have a square bottle, you could have a triangle bottle, you can have, right? So what? Yeah, exactly. So that's why, again, like Leia's not wrong when she says the formal cause is the shape, but I just want you to realize it's not limited to shape, because you could still have many things that are the same thing, but just different shapes, So bottleness, I think, is a better like word. Or same shape or different thing is correct, right? Say like with the shoe. Yeah, Purell bottle, right? Although that is a bottle, right? That is a bottle. Let's say like, what's another object that is shaped like a bottle but is not a bottle?
A wine bottle.
Like the tennis, when you play tennis ball holder.
Right, but that is a form of a bottle, right? I mean, we don't call it a bottle, we call it a capsule. You know what could be? What is that? Fish tank. Yeah, you got a fish tank that's shaped like a bottle, right? Or I was thinking, if you take like, Christmas lights, it's a bottle shape, but it's like very, very small. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same shape. It's like a cylindrical container, but it is used to hold light emitting filaments instead of liquid, you know? So it's a bottle shape, but it's not actually a bottle. Okay, what is the efficient cause? Probably here. Efficient cause. Machine, right? Is the bottle making machine, right? And then what is the final cause? To hold water, right? Is this to hold water or to hold water and facilitate drinking? Because if you could imagine a bottle that did not have an opening,
Or did.
it would hold water, but you wouldn't be able to use it for water bottle purposes, you know? So it's, yeah. Okay, 2 more examples just to make sure we got this here. A clock. Yeah.
Metal.
Yeah, plastic, metal, the coloring.
Gears.
Yeah, the gears, right, is probably made of metal. What is it made into?
Fine.
Yeah, it's the formal cause of the clock is really, and I'm thinking of an analog clock in my mind, okay, is it's face, numbers, and hands, okay, which I guess you don't really need numbers because you occasionally see clocks without numbers,
Yeah.
right? So really the face of the clock and the hands, that arrangement is really what the essence of a clock is. That's bare minimum thing of a clock. Everything else is just like frills, you know? What makes it into a clock? What takes the plastic, metal, and coloring and then transforms that into a clock? A machine or a clock person, yeah, okay. And this is going to be an answer in a lot of cases. And then what is it made for? Yeah, I would say to keep and display accurate time. Because if it keeps time and doesn't display, then it's not a very good clock. And if it displays time, but the time is inaccurate, then it's also not a very good clock. What was it?
What is it called? Aristotle?
4 causes. Yeah, the 4 causes. And by the way, this is also something that if you are trying to find out about something, you can convert each of these. Oh, actually, I did that here, right? Is if you just ask these 4 questions about things, you'll get a lot of information about it, potentially all the information you can get about anything. Okay, that's like, it's a good tool for knowledge, I'm saying. Okay, now this last example is going to be the most difficult one. A heart. Yeah, okay, right, good.
DNA.
Right. So DNA is interesting, right? So yeah, cardiac muscle. I don't even know what is blood vessels also made out of muscle, or do we call that something else? Some form of tissues, vessels. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What is a heart?
A organ pumping device.
Right. That's more of the function, though, right? What is the formal cause of the heart?
A blob.
I hope not. It wouldn't really function, right? So it's its shape, which in a heart, I guess I'm thinking of a human heart. I don't know if they're like, you know, but 4 chambers with 2 atria and 2 ventricles. Okay, that's like what a heart is. What makes the tissue into a heart?
Cells that connect together.
So this is really where the DNA in the cells, right? Okay, is the DNA, it's the programming that tells your body when you're forming as a fetus to take all of the, you know, energy that's being supplied via the mother and the materials and then make that into a heart. And what's it for? Pumping blood throughout the body, right? And you could be more specific about that, about like what the blood does and everything like that. Okay, so these are your basic things, and the ones we're going to be concerned with most in terms of the Satan are the material cause and the formal cause, or matter and form. Material cause and matter you could treat as synonyms, and formal cause and form you could treat as synonyms. Were you going to say something? Ask something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask what you don't know what it's made for.
Okay, well, here's the thing. We've been using examples, except for the heart, I guess. It's easy in the case of man-made objects, because man-made objects are tools that are designed for specific purposes, you know, but it becomes much more difficult when you're looking at the natural world. What is the function of a thing, you know, like what is the final cause of cows?
To produce meat, to produce milk, to moo. But like,
Yeah, because it's asking about the why, right? The final cause is the why. Yeah.
What is it made for? Oh, like why?
Yeah, like why is it made, yeah.
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. So we will transition to talking about the physical world in a little while, but it's just much harder there. By the way, why do we call this the final cause? What's the sense of the word final? It's the ultimate thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's what you could look at it from 2 ways. You could look at it at the end. It's the whole thing exists for this purpose. It's at the end, or it's like the whole thing wouldn't have even started were it not for this, like the final cause. If people didn't have feet, you would never make shoes, you know? Although, you know, you could also view that for all the other 4 causes is is without leather, you can't have shoes, right? That's true, right? Yeah, without material, you can't have shoes. Okay, right? Without leather,
Material songs exist.
yeah, yeah. Without the concept of shoes or the idea of shoe, you couldn't have shoes. Okay, without something to make the leather into the shoes, you couldn't have shoes, and without the need for shoes, you wouldn't have shoes.
You wouldn't. The difference is though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to go through. This is a book by a let's see, he's a non-religious Jew named Leon Kass, and his profession is he is a bioethicist.
Oh, there's a book in the other room.
Really?
Jewish bioethics.
Oh, interesting.
Should I get it?
No, I am curious. Like, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not sure. What is bioethics, though? I bet there's an overlap. I don't know which one is. Yeah.
Maybe the like line of not reasoning, but the reason and like the way things work, I guess, in biology, like why your heart.
Oh, that's just biology, though.
What is ethics?
So what's
mean?
ethics? Yeah, what is ethics?
Moral.
Yeah.
Like
So-
what's morally okay.
Exactly. So what types of questions would bioethicists deal with?
Cloning.
Cloning.
Oh.
What else?
Is it okay to give someone
Like
like
genetic
that?
Genetic modification, right?
Is it okay to give people like a pill if they're one die?
Yeah, right. It's assisted suicide. Yeah, okay, right.
Is that like medical or biology?
So that's why I'm questioning what you're saying that like maybe they're synonyms, or maybe medical ethics is just a subject within bioethics, because bioethics might also deal with like climate and like animals and all that other stuff that is not related to like doing the practice of medicine. So he wrote this book called The Hungry Soul, which is about how the whole book is about philosophical ideas you can derive from thinking about eating, and one of those things is form and matter. Okay, so this is an excerpt, and it's, I actually forgot to print it out for you. It's difficult English, so I'm gonna read it. We'll have to like think about what he's saying here, but this is like everything up until now has been basic. This next part is advanced. If you don't get this next part, I mean, obviously ask, but if you don't get this next part, then that's fine as long as you get this basic stuff. Okay.
Is that, when did you write this?
He wrote this in the 90s, I think. Yeah, I have it at home. Okay, every tangible object or being, whether of natural origin or made by human beings, both is something and is made out of something. Good? Good. Provisionally, let us call the latter its material and the former its form. Okay, so the thing it is the form, and the thing it's made out of is the material. Form and material are, in the first instance, relative and correlative terms. Form is the something made of certain materials. Materials are, as materials of and for the thing as formed. Say what? Yeah, okay. So what he means is that this is a more elaborate way of saying what the Rambam said. You can't have in the physical world something that's material without form or form without material. Okay, for example, like you can't, you never see, for example, think about wood, okay? So you always see a wooden something. It could be a tree made of wood. It could be a plank made of wood. It is always a something made out of wood. You never just see woodness. It's a property. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so he's saying that they relate. Each one is defined in terms of the other one. Okay. He'll elaborate in a second. In fact, to be material means to be potential, to be able to receive a certain form or forms, to be capable of being worked on by some process or operation that would transform it. That's what it means to transform, is to change the form of something. That is, form it into that something whose material it then becomes. So let's take the wood example just to talk it out. Okay. If you have a pile of boards and planks, okay? So there it is, that's just material, okay? Boards and planks. But when you make it into a table, you're transforming it, right? So what does it mean to transform it? To change the form from planks and boards to a table. Now, did you actually change the material? No, right? But you arranged it into a certain relationship with other, you took the different material components and arrange them into a certain configurement, and then that makes the table. Okay.
Sometimes when you do change the form, you change the Like you could make something which makes something else, which will make something.
Okay, yeah. So this is where it gets complicated because there's a hierarchy here. Okay, so for example, if you actually he's going to use the example of wood, I think. Oh,
When you change the form, you change it. Like, what's an example?
Like, let's say you have wheat, and you can make flour, and then you use that flour to make it into bread, and then you use that
Yeah.
bread to make a sandwich.
yeah, exactly, right. And then you use the sandwich to make a meal plan, and use the meal plan to make a lifestyle. You know, like
Yeah.
so. Yeah, so there's a hierarchy. Okay, and that's actually I think what he's going to talk about next. Or no, not yet. Wood is by itself just wood. Marble is marble. Cholesterol is cholesterol. But marble also becomes material for Michelangelo. You know Michelangelo? Or not Michelangelo, not the Michelangelo. Michelangelo's the name of the guy, right? I meant the David, you know, the statue of the David, right? So marble also becomes also material for Michelangelo only because and when its capacity to be marble, David, or Moses is realized through the workings of the sculptor's hand. For example, so what he's saying here, marble is material. That makes sense, right? But if you think about it, marble is material means potential. Okay, that block of marble that he carved the David out of was a potential David, and what he did was he just actualized that potential from the marble. Okay, it's not a joke, it's just a funny way of saying something that I've heard. I don't know if this is true or not. Someone asked Michelangelo when they saw the David, and they were like, "That's amazing! How did you make it?" And he said, "Well, I took the block of marble, I took a chisel and a hammer, and I hammered away at anything that didn't look like the David." Yeah, okay, right? In other words, he's seeing the potential for the David in the marble, and that's what all good artists do, is that everyone sees the same material, but then they see the potential for like artwork in all that raw material, you know? Okay, and cholesterol becomes material for a cholesterol-requiring organism when its capacity to interact intimately with other membrane materials is realized, as it is incorporated by the organism as a component of its living cell membrane. Okay, I'll explain what that is in a second. Without ceasing altogether to be or to manifest properties of marble or cholesterol, these things are transformed and altered by their subordination to the activity of information. Information meaning with the word form in it, okay? The materials, though following their own nature, are at the same time constrained by their new arrangements, which constitute a nature of a higher order. So let's use an example of eating olives. Okay, so olives are made out of a certain material, and when they are olives, they're in a form that was produced by the tree. Okay, the tree was the efficient cause of producing the olives, and it's there. Now, what? Yeah, that's why they're high eights. Yeah. Yep. Now, when you eat olives, what are you doing to the olives? You're transforming it into right. So, so what is it ultimately transforming me into, though, when you eat it and digest it?
It's mechanical
Energy.
It's becoming energy, and it's also becoming you. It's becoming fat. It's becoming, you know, tissue. Yeah, right. So, yeah, you are. You know, you heard the expression, "You are what you eat." Exactly. You know, so that is. Yeah, I think people say that like, you know, like in a non-literal way, but it is a literal truth, right? Is what you eat actually becomes your body. You know.
But I would just disagree with that on the fact that like your body isn't absorbing the whole form, just like part of it.
Yeah, it excretes the part that it can't use, right?
So it's not becoming you.
Well, the
It's
parts
using
that,
it for you.
but how is it using it? Is it's actually the material actually becomes you.
Used for you. Like even if your body, let's say, takes in nutrients, those nutrients carry out processes of your body.
Right. So that's for the nutrients, right? But the material actually also. I mean, let's take you know with calories, right? So your body. Okay, let's take food, right? Some of the food becomes burned as and is used by your body for energy, but some of it becomes stored as fat, right? That part is becoming
That part is
becoming you. But then even the energy part is what's allowing all the processes to go on. Like let's say, for example, what is it that keeps your heart beating and your lungs breathing and your brain functioning? Ultimately, it's the energy that your body is using. So it's like the power source of your body, you know, which would be considered you. Yeah. So it's both the processes and the substance of your body that the food is keeping going. Is that a fair generalization? And then the part it can't use is excreted. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think there's two more. Yeah. Form and material are interdependent only in definition, not only in definition, but also usually in fact. Though distinct as ideas and separable in speech, they are, especially in living things, grown together in the enmattered form or the informed matter that is the given thing. The dog and its flesh, okay, the oak and its roots, no less than the desk and its wood, are as inseparable, related, and mutually interdependent as the concave and the convex. Okay, let's say concave and convex because it's easier. You guys know what yeah, concave is turned inwards, like I'm trying to think, look for a concave object. Yeah, right, like a satellite dish, right? Okay, yeah, right. So satellite dish, this is concave, and convex is like that, is protruding, right? So if you have imagine this like a piece of glass or whatever, you can't separate the concave from the convex in reality, right? If something is concave, then the other side is convex, and vice versa. But in your mind, you can separate the idea of the concave from the idea of the convex. Okay, same thing with a dog and its flesh. Okay, what is a dog? So what's the formal cause of a dog? It's dogness, whatever that is. But what is the dog made out of? Flesh, bones, saliva, all that other stuff, right? So in reality, you can't separate the dogness from the flesh of the dog, but your mind can acknowledge, oh, there's the idea of dog, and then there's this fleshy, and there's the flesh that this dog is made out of. Well, let's say with a table, okay? There's the idea of table, and then there's the material that this table is made out of. Because you can have a table made out of plastic or metal or wood, and it's still a table. But this particular table is attached, the material is like locked with its form in a inseparable way.
Like every material takes on a form.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the Rambam says. You never see material without form or form without material, because everything you encounter in the world is material and form. Your mind can recognize that this is a clock made out of plastic, but the clock and the plastic in the thing I'm holding in my hand are fused together, so to speak. You can't actually like separate the clockness from the plasticness here. Let's read on a little bit more. The relativity and interdependence of material and form persist also in multiple levels of organization. This is the point you're making about the sandwich. The oak and the wood that is material for the table is itself a special form, say, of xylem and phloem. Did you guys learn about that in like any of your science classes? I never learned about this. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, fine. So I guess the answer is no. Which are in turn special formations of cells, which are special formations of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, and so on and so on and on. At the lowest level, some least or ultimate material would be reached, if any there such be, that could not be analyzed further into form and material, and whose parts, if it had parts, would be homogeneous with a whole. Such an ultimate material would be more than material relative to some of the form. It would be matter. So the point is that like you could take anything, let's say like the plank of wood, and go further and further and further and say, it's a plank of wood, but wood is a form of the material, which is xylem and phloem. And xylem and phloem are the form of the material, which is cells. And cells are the form of material, which is, I guess, the molecules or whatever. The molecules are a form of like the small thing. And you can also go upwards, meaning... Right, so he's saying that you're going to go, there is a point where you can go, you would just reach pure matter, okay? Which would be like not able to be broken down into smaller and smaller forms.
Then the definition of matter doesn't work anymore.
So that's why he uses the term material instead of matter. He's saying material and form are these things that like, you can go in hierarchies, but at the very bottom of everything, there'll be something which is absolute matter that everything is made out of. That you can't go into further things from. But let's take the table again. So if you have the plank, that's part of a table. So then the table is the form made out of planks. But then if the table is part of a furniture set, so then each individual piece of furniture is material to the set. And if the set is part of a house, so you keep on going upwards as well. Okay, so everything is relative. All form and matter are relative to each other. Okay, this is the last point. If material is material relative to a form, then what is a form? Okay, form is often connected with shape and figure, but when we think of form with regard to living beings, we mean more than shape or figure and more than an aggregate of corporeal parts. A pile of rocks has shape but not form. It is a heap, not a whole. Now this is the most important line. Form is what makes a being a unity and a whole in the world and through time. Form is that order or ordering that makes a one of the many components, giving it an integrity the components by themselves do not have. So form is the thing that unifies everything into one. So take your body, for instance, okay? Your body really is made up of lots and lots of different parts, and those parts are made up of lots of different molecules. But form is the thing that like causes us to view it as one entity, okay? Like body. It is, I confess, extremely difficult to say just what the unifier is if it is a distinct what. It cannot be outside the surface or skin, although the boundary defines the limits of the organism against everything it is not, but it does not define what it is. The boundary is not the cause of unity, but rather one of its manifestations. We begin to suspect that form is not primarily something visible or tangible. In short, that there is, in this sense, some immaterial thing that unites and informs the absolutely corporealized organism, but what it is we cannot define, yet we may continue to discern its meaning and its work. So here's a morbid example, okay? Take that dog, right? So the form of the dog is the thing that keeps it unified as a dog, okay? It's beyond the material, okay? But it's not physical. Now, what happens when the dog dies? What's gonna happen? Its matter takes on a different form. So it starts decomposing, right? So while the dog was alive, then it was one thing. But once it dies, so then that matter starts to become something else. Okay, it becomes transformed into something else. Anyone thinking of a particular Disney movie reference? No, let me, hold on.